just for a brief recap. So this is the third edition. The first edition was actually on the introduction to ECG, then the second on basic life support, and the third one, which is financial literacy. So basically, the financial literacy is, this lecture as a whole is going to equip us with the knowledge on how to make informed decisions about our finances and resources. So, and we have able and a good experts who will be lecturing us today. So I won't be able to say much about her because she's too big for me to probably say much about. So I would rather invite the founder of Edge for Nigeria. I'm talking about our founder, Professor Abimbola Kintade, who is an associate dean in the University of Maryland, so a commissioner in the state of Maryland in the United States of America. So I would like to invite him to do justice by introducing him to introducing that's our guest lecturer. So, and that's the person of Mrs. Dr. Remi Duyile. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Olumide, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us this morning as we go through this fantastic presentation. I would like to introduce our guest speaker this morning, and she's no stranger to many of us and also no stranger to Health for Nigeria. She sits on the board of advisors for Health for Nigeria, and true fact, when I received this vision, about trying to identify ways to impact our healthcare sector, she was one of the first people, or probably the first person I spoke with, to sort of get her sense of how we could operationalize this vision. So it brings me a great deal of joy to introduce to you Dr. Remi Duyile. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about her. So Dr. Remi Duyile is a seasoned mentor, professional, business owner, and professor who is passionate about helping people maximize their potential. Her unique value proposition is her ability to excel in corporate America to the pinnacle of her career as a vice president of a Fortune 100 company. For those who don't know, she was vice president of Bank of America. I mean, everyone in the world, has either interacted with at some point or at least have heard of Bank of America. She transitioned to a successful serial entrepreneur with international impact. Dr. Duyile is a certified corporate trainer and a member of the Forbes Coaches Council, where she coaches and writes a thought leader she writes as a thought leader in emerging leadership development and other areas. She's an international trade specialist with a focus on trade facilitation and access to capital backed with technical support. She has consulted for many countries and various organizations on workforce development for emerging leaders. She currently serves as a commissioner in the great state of Maryland, USA. She and I are also colleagues in that regard. She sits on several local and international boards in influential capacities for impact. Dr. Duyile is a member of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women and other notable associations. As a serial entrepreneur with social impact, she doubles as president and CEO of Image Consulting Group and founder of Legacy Premier Foundation in the USA. Dr. Duyile's commitment to intergenerational bridge building is evident in her impact programs through Legacy Premier Foundation and Image Consulting Group in the USA. She's an example of faith, hard work, perseverance, leading to countless blessings. Dr. Duyile enjoys the support of her loving and supportive husband and friend and their amazing adult children. If you haven't heard Dr. Duyile speak, today will be a fantastic opportunity for you and also for all of us. In addition, she's a motivational speaker, and she's just, a genuine sounding board, so we're all very excited to have you here, Dr. Duyile, and thank you very much for taking the time.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Akintade, for that beautiful introduction. To God be the glory. It's an exciting opportunity to be here this morning. Thank you for your vision for Health for Nigeria. Thank you for giving us a reason to gather together to help to be a solution provider to Nigerians' health care needs. Thank you very much. And Mr. Osho, thank you for your leadership and all that you do to drive this great organization locally and globally. We always look forward to engaging with you whenever we have an opportunity to. And to Mr. Olumide Obe, thank you so much. You said something like, oh, you're too small to do that. Guess what? My biggest fan base are the emerging leaders. You all give me the energy that I need so I can deal with all of you all day long. So you're never too small because you're the best things that are happening around the world. If people have not noticed that, then they're missing big time because you are the ones that are driving the world. And we're here to support you, inspire you, and encourage you. And thanks for all you do for this organization. And to everyone who have joined from all over or who would listen to this later, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be here with us. We don't take it for granted because you could be anywhere else, locally or globally, but we appreciate that you have found time to be here. And Dr. Akizade already did the introduction. I just happen to be a very passionate individual about financial matters. And you wonder why. If you've served in a corporation and all you live and breathe when you were growing up in your corporate setting is finance. So of course it becomes something that you embrace and so on and so forth. I served 17 years of my meritorious years in corporate America, and I rose from a teller, a cashier, to a vice president. So that really put me in a position to see all of the basics and the real deep things in the financial world. I was able to engage with regular person off the street who just wanted to cash their check. And the Lord allowed me to grow to be in the boardroom, to be in the marketplaces with people who started an idea with maybe $100, who before I blink, it's grown to millions because they have other things that they brought to the bank because of the service. Why do I bore you with this? I let you know that financial literacy is not just a buzzword. You hear it a lot. For some people, maybe it's a catchment and they just want to say it so it can sound sexy and not. For me, it's a way of life. It's something that I know we have to make sure we encourage people to understand. Number one, what is it? And why should you care? And what's in it for others and what's in it for you? So I'm hoping that within the next 90 minutes thereabout, which I'm going to be engaging with you, we will be able to demystify some of the narratives that you might have found or heard with financial literacy. So what is financial literacy? Type up, guys, you need to chat with me. When you think of financial literacy, give me some things on the chat and I'll be reading it. What do you think of when you think of financial literacy? What comes to mind? It could be one word. You don't have to get too technical. I just want to make sure we're all awake since I can see all your beautiful and handsome faces. Tell me, what do you think financial literacy means when you hear of such a word? And you're probably so tired of hearing it now that everybody makes it a buzzword. What comes to mind? Anything comes to mind? I haven't seen anything yet. Oh, Mr. Osho, am I missing any of the typing? I expect one or two things so that would get me started. So I'll know you're awake and you're there for me, with me, by me. And I welcome my dear sister Fumi also. I see you.
I'm monitoring the chat, so if anything comes up, I'll let you know.
Okay, all right. So sis, don't be shy now. I'm not going to be alone here. If we were in the same room, we will be all bubbling together and just helping everybody know that we let. Okay, I see some people are talking, understand. Yeah, okay. Understanding how to make sound financial decisions. Yes, I agree 100%. But before you even get to that, again, financial literacy, we know we all need money. If I say, oh, what does money mean? Maybe that would have been easier, right? If I say, what does money mean to you? Or how do you make money? Why do you make money? All of these are answers to what financial literacy pretty much is. And a lot of times I see the knowledge and skills about finances to make good and informed decisions about our finances. Yes, all of those are great answers. And they're easier said than done, right? Try to think of saving. Try to think of doing something important whereby you put yourself on a budget, on a schedule. You see how hard it is to live with it. But first thing first, financial literacy is nothing but the ability for you to bring and understand the resources that comes through you and where they go. Every line item by item, why they go there, who they go for, and why should you be looking at it as maybe something that's projecting towards where you're going as an individual. When I was in corporate America, I had the privilege, like I said, of studying as a teller. I call it a privilege. I had my MBA, and you're like, what is that privilege? It was for me a privilege because it got my foot into the door. My foot into the door because I knew once I got into the door, the rest will be history, because I didn't have a work experience. I was babysitting, thinking that I'll graduate, get my degree, and go back to Nigeria. Hello, we're still here ever after, but I always tell people we're making God proud. So that allowed me to get my foot into the door as a teller, as a cashier. And I saw the basics of banking and relationship and all of that. And of course, very shortly, I was promoted and promoted and promoted. And I would engage with regular people off the street who had lots of money. And sometimes some didn't have any, but I learned one thing. Everybody needed money to meet a need or the other. So one thing I learned very quickly, I was in my 20s, so that was a good age to be learning and picking who do you want to keep their knowledge, who do you want to flush away. So I was able to see a lot of things. So that planted in me to understand that there is a process to this lovely financial literacy. There are basic things that you have to have in order to even start it. So you're saying, what are those basic things, Remi? Those basic things are very simple. Savings. Savings is very important. What is savings? How many of us even know what that is? Savings, I want to say, is a habit. Savings is not just the ability for you to say, oh, I put money, is the habit. When you know that savings is needed, there's a habit that comes with it. For instance, you make all the money. Some of us are from a faith where we tithe. I mean, we do our tithing and all of that. And we're told it's 10%. I say today, do another 10% for you. So look at it as a way to also tithe yourself out of whatever you have, rain or shine, put it away. It's a habit. I know you're thinking, even what I make right now is not even enough to feed my family. I get it. Nobody ever has enough. And welcome to the real world. There will never be enough for you to feel like, oh, I've arrived. Human needs are very insatiable. You will never be satisfied because you want to do more. You have more vision. You want to support more people. You want to take those extra vacation, treat your family. So the needs will always arise. But savings is very critical. Savings are where you start having a disciplined habit of putting money aside. I know some of us are working, some of us are maybe in school, some of us are business people, and you've heard all of these things. It's just the ability to do it continuously, to understand what exactly are the types of savings accounts that are out there. For a starter, you probably want a basic savings. Just get into the swing of things, get into your ability to know that you have a systemized way of putting money aside. It could be $10. It could be 100,000 naira or dollars or whatever. It doesn't matter. Have a pattern of what is put away. And when you start with the basics, everywhere in the world, there's always a tiered savings based on whatever balances you're keeping and all of that. For off the gate, what I'm saying right now is have a plan to do that as often as you need to, at least once a month. Every time you get paid, pay yourself. Every time you get paid, pay yourself. Minimally, I would recommend you do 10%, but you can do any amount, but at least get into that habit of putting money aside. When you do that, you will be amazed quickly how that would grow, especially if you don't touch it. Do it with a different bank. Don't make it convenient. The bankers in us will want you to cross-sell. We'll say, oh, so Dr. Akitade, can you link your savings to your checking for convenience of overdraft? Hello, Mr. Dr. Akitade didn't say that he opened a savings to make it an overdraft protection. He probably opened a savings to save, right? But we offer, so we can give you convenience because we're thinking about you and we want to do all of that. But what I'm saying is, don't make it convenient. Have a separate institution that would not make it easy for you to use those savings unless you need it for why you are saving. Unless you need it for why you're saving. Catch my phrase, because there's always going to be needs. But when you save, you have a plan. So that plan needs to always resonate in the back of your mind that, yes, this is what you are going to be doing. So you get another bank and put your savings there and know an amount. And please make that amount a regular amount that you do. If it's 1%, no worries, start with 1%. If you want to tithe yourself, like we do with our, for those of us who have a faith of a Christian faith, do your 10%, or maybe do 5%. So once you do that, you will see that those funds will be reducing your income. And by the grace of God, you're not going to bleed. You will still leave when you don't even see that money. But set up an automatic setting that your money goes to a savings account. And then you get to a point you're thinking, wow, this savings is just a lot. And the interest rate is so minuscule, it's so little. The bank is making money off of me. I definitely have a holy anger now. What else can I do? I don't want a 0.5% or 0.10%. Just letting my money sit there. Is it better that I put my money under the mattress? No, don't put your money under the mattress. What you need to do is engage with your banker and find out what are the other types of tiered savings that are there. And I know this happens in Nigeria, any part in the world. I know that because I have friends who are in the institution and I know their choices. But you need to reach out to them. Make your bankers your friends. When I say friends, I'm not saying go to their house and party together, but when you go to the bank, be friendly. Don't just act like you're in charge. Make it that they see you as a partner, that you greet them. That's when they're going to walk up to you and say, oh, Mr. Osho, how are you today? They will see you like they walk up to you and say, oh, by the way, do you know that we have this type of account that if you put this amount, the bank would, they will tell you what's going on. So make your banking a relationship. And remember, I'm not saying go to every of their party when they have an event. Relationship banking is very critical. And you reach out to your banker will reach out to you. So now you have all this money sitting in a basic savings and the interest rate is giving you this heartache. Every time you see your balance is like you're making $1 out of so much. So you now want to engage and say, what are the other types of ways that you can escalate and do other things? In that case, it could be a money market savings. I don't know what exactly we call it or in different parts of the world, but it's an upgraded advanced savings that allows you to earn a little more interest. It restricts how often you can go in it for withdrawal, which is good because you don't, it's not a checking account. It's supposed to be a savings. So there's a penalty that's attached to that, which you will be informed at the time of your account opening. None of this happens without you agreeing and understanding. And please always ask. Don't feel like you have to act cool. It's your money. If you don't understand what somebody is saying and you're agreeing, guess who is going to be messed up? You, because it's your money. So now you have this tiered saving and you say, okay, let me put some of it there. These are safe investments because your money is insured, especially here in America. And I'm sure in Nigeria, there's some coverage for a particular amount and so forth. So now you get to say, okay, I'm going to do a money market and you're happy you did that. Now you're seeing that you're still growing this balance. You still can leave $10,000 without needing it. Why do you want to just leave it in a tiered savings account? Now you might inch up and say, I want to put it in a what we call time deposit. And I believe globally it's called time deposit. Here in America too, we call it CD, certificate of deposit, but it simply means it's a time deposit. So you now leave your money and say, okay, I can leave my money for a year. I don't need this 10,000 for another year. So I can close my eyes, put it in a time deposit, It could be $500. Don't worry about the large amounts I'm throwing. Fit yourself wherever you fit in. And then you say, okay, I'm going to do this. Where I'm going with this is you have to let your money work for you. You work so hard for your money, and none of it can be just given without you sweating for it or without somebody blessing you as a gift. Even if you get it as a gift, why can't you invest it in a way that it works for you? So when you manage and monitor, first you've gotten into the habit of the savings, check. Now you want to see how do you have a progressive outlook and watch for your monies to work for you, because the money is already working for the bank, right? Because the money is there. They're probably going to be using your money to do other things and paying you the interest. No offense to bank, I love my banks. I mean, that's just what it is. But you as a consumer too, you have to understand that if you don't look out for yourself by knowing some of the things that you need to ask your banker, they cannot educate you on all of the possibilities in your bank, because you're just one client out of thousands and so on and so forth. Not that you're not important, but if you now become an informed client, customer, who can ask questions, who can be relatable, then maybe I'll just walk up to you and say, oh, by the way, we have this free, whatever we have, and talk to you. And when there are opportunities to call customers, you will be on that call list because you've shown yourself as somebody that's ready to be informed and use that information to guide you. So having started with a savings account, as you can see, there are parallels, there are ways to escalate and do other things that will help your money grow for you and with you. So you get to a point and you're still growing and growing. You're going to get to a point that you will talk to an investment officer, somebody who is more licensed and a professional who can truly see your money and say, oh, you need to put it here, put it there, put it there. The bottom line is you've got to understand how this process goes. And now you have become a good saver. You understand that you have to put money away. And I'll explain the other ways that money needs to be put away. So you've gotten to that point. Now you want to do a checking account, or maybe simultaneously you are doing your checking account with your savings. Remember now, you're going to be writing checks or doing your ATM, whatever, the swipe. I still say, think of your swiping your ATM as checking and reconciliation, because that's your money. So if you swipe a card and you are short $1 without reconciling your bank statement, you're short, there's going to be an overdraft charge. And those overdraft charges, they do add up and they're not pretty. Bank fee income is one of the biggest line item of income that bank uses. So the banks are not out there, they are for profit. I mean, commercial banks are for profit. So they are not going to make any excuses. If you overdraw, you'll be lucky if they even pay the check. Even when they don't pay it, very embarrassingly, you will still be charged. So think of your checking, even if you're not using a check. I know in this day, everything is online and so forth. Have familiarity with your online access. I would say at least once a week to quickly have an overview. Okay, what is coming in, what is going out, what are you doing with your bank, and what is going out, and what are you using? Are you going out and just eating everything at Mr. Biggs rather than maybe sometimes stop to cook or to get grocery? Are you going to whatever stores are there? I know all of you like to eat out sometimes, and there's so many great eateries in Nigeria, in other parts of the world, that occasionally we want to have this habit of just going out to eat and think it's cool. No, it's not. You don't have to go out to eat all the time. You have to know what is your budget, and that's going to take me to segue me to what is needed for you to maintain this balance. I've mentioned you need to have a saving. It's a mindset. Once you have a savings mindset, everything you do will become a habit, because you're going to be thinking from a perspective of, okay, I'm making this amount, I'm going to give this amount to God, I'm giving this amount to me on a routine basis. And you're keeping these accounts separate where you have convenience to just go in and use it anyhow. So once you have done that, you have been able to separate it. The next thing to think about immediately is designing a budget. To have a budget designed for you, and you create it yourself. There's so many templates online that you can use. I say, keep it real, keep it simple. Don't get too sophisticated. Start something. It could just be a blank piece of paper. Maybe technology is failing and you can't go in all the time. Just create income and expenses. Start with that. Get that habit of
before
budgeting.
you move on, Dr. Duyile, I have a quick question before you go to the next segue. Yes, from the previous section. So you had mentioned two things, and I wanted to kind of get a little bit more explanation on that. One, you said we should save, at least build the habit of saving. And the second thing you mentioned is at some point, you should looking at other savings kinds of platforms like a money market or options that the bank has. The question I have is, when do you know to start looking at different options than just regular savings? How much should you, maybe like as a percentage of your annual income or a percentage of your monthly income, how much should you have before you start thinking, okay, now let my money start working for me? Because like if you have, maybe let me use 10,000 Naira in your account, you likely wouldn't want to fix that somewhere because maybe you need that as an emergency fund or something. But at some point you would want to have your money working for you. So I guess my question is to ask, when do you start that?
That's a very great question, Mr. Oj. I really appreciate that. And I will make it clearer again. There's no hard and fast rule to when. You would know if you have a running balance in your regular savings that you constantly don't touch. In this case, let's even say it's the 10,000 Naira and it's always there. You need to have familiarity with the types of savings account that your bank has. Do they have a type of a money market savings whereby if you have 5,000 continuously, you earn a little higher interest rate on that tier of money? You don't necessarily have to go to a certificate of deposit and fix it yet. You will be the one monitoring what you have because you're the one that knows why the money is 10,000 in that savings and that has been 10,000 forever. If it's been sitting there for more than a year and you know you're not going to need it, you're the only one that would have those inclination because you could be saving for a purpose. And when that balance hits, you take it to do whatever the purpose is. But in this case, if it's just a running balance that you have not really, you have no need for in the horizon, and you see that it's there, of course, you will look at it and you will talk to your bank and ask what other tier savings are there. The next tier could be a money market savings that requires you to have at least 5,000 there. I'm just using the number because that's the number, and you can plug in any number. That 5,000 can be what you would say, okay, I can do without touching this 5,000. Let me put it where I can have a little more. The whole idea is to make that money work for you in your own little ways till you get to where you can say, okay, now what is in the money market savings? I don't even need for another year. It's just sitting there again, collecting this peanuts interest rate. What else is out there? And then you're thinking in that progressive order and saying, okay, I can leave it for a year. I can leave it for 6 months. Leaving it for 6 months maybe doubles your interest rate. So you now go ahead and take advantage of a fixed deposit, which you can have rollover if you don't have a need for it. All I'm simply saying is you would have to be the manager of your account because you are the one that knows why you're saving when you're saving, but you have to have that holy anger to make sure your money is not just sitting somewhere making nothing, whereby the bank is also leveraging on your money. It's not the bank's fault. It's our responsibility to be on top of our game. So that's what I mean by that. I don't know if that answers your question or if I need to still go a little deeper. And this is interactive. Please, I'm not reading the chat. If there are questions that I'm missing, please somebody should kindly let me know. Mr. Osho, does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. I'm sure as more things you discuss more, it also sheds some more light on how to really understand when exactly you feel more comfortable. As you said, like a running cost is important, but then I personally try to have some emergency funds in case anything occurs, but you also mentioned it doesn't have to be fixed for a certain period of time. It could just be in a potential where if you don't use it, then you get an advantage in the interest rates, which I think makes sense for a lot of people who may not be able to just put down money and know for the next 6 to 12 months, I'm not going to touch this no matter what. So yeah, thank you very much.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And you hit on a point that I'm also going to, the emergency funds. It's really very critical to have that. And when I was in corporate America, when they would say, oh, they need about sometimes 6 months, I would think, why do they need that much? But when COVID hit, my perspective changed. I'm like, we need 2 years of emergency funds.
Yeah.
Because we never expected COVID. I know I didn't. I don't know if anybody else saw it coming, but I wasn't so smart enough to see that coming. Almost 2 years, or let's even say a year, a lot of us, things got shut down, and I'm sure it affected businesses, lives, and so forth. So if we say 6 months is a lot, COVID taught us that we need at least so many months of emergency funds. And you can say, we're not making all that money, and how do we find the money? We're going to talk about how you will be able to save. There's something called opportunity cost. Opportunity cost gives you the ability to forgo something just so you can get something else that you believe is priority. And I'll use a case in point that I use in my class all the time, because I know a lot of my students, young people, it's convenient to eat out or drink out and do all of those things in a spur of a moment. And Starbucks is always what I pick on. And no offense to Starbucks, please go and use Starbucks if you have the money. But I always say that every day when you go past a Starbucks and you spend $5 or whatever amount you spend just to get your coffee, if you multiply by so many days that you go, that could be the savings you do, because who says you have to drink a Starbucks coffee? Yes, you can drink coffee. I'm all for that. You can get yourself a pot of coffee from ShopRite or any grocery store and make your own coffee. So that creates opportunity to have money that is not going down the lane of this whole spending it and consuming it on things that are not super essential. And don't get me wrong, you can treat yourself. I'm all for that. All I'm saying is that you will always know your season and the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And another example I always ask is, sometimes you can go to the movies on a weekend, you can do it on a weekday. I find out that during the week it's cheaper. It's affordable. It's the same movie, but it's cheaper, especially during the summer months where every day looks like it's weekend for those who are parents, and businesses are not as rigid and so forth. Who says you cannot go to the movie on a Thursday if that would save you another $10? Because you will be amazed, the little amount here and there truly makes a difference. I kid you not. It might not sound like a lot of money, but your habit to allow you to know that, how do I save? Don't be stingy now. I'm not saying be stingy and don't treat yourself and be worshiping your balance. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying know your season. I know how you can have that opportunity cost of knowing that, oh, I need to save. Then maybe I just need to cut my Starbucks to twice a month, twice a week. If you cut it twice a week, if it's $5 a day, you just saved yourself. If it's a week, 5-day a week, you just saved yourself $15. That $15 can go towards your savings bucket, knowing that you still have emergency funds that you have to create. You have to have emergency funds. It's going to come from somewhere. And that takes me in a segue to something else that we're going to. Your income is as a result of the work that you put in, that you get paid for. And usually if you work for somebody, it's a fixed income. Even if you work for yourself, you might not make some income sometimes, because you have other people that you have to worry about to make sure that those other people, you have to make sure that those other people are taken care of. They become your priority before you yourself. So once you have all of those priorities in order, you know your income is a fixed amount. Even when you have a side hustle, when I say side hustle, that doesn't mean negativity, just means all the things that you do that you're passionate about, that you're building to create income. If that is there, don't see that as an income that you are going to be using to take care of your budget item. Remember, in your budget item, there will be a fixed income and there will be fixed expenses. And when I'm talking about fixed expenses, I'm not talking about the extracurricular things that you do or that you want to do. I'm thinking first, your rent, your mortgage, your car loan, whatever expenses that you're committed to ensure that you service. Those are what needs to be in your expense bucket. All the other niceties, the eating out, the window shopping or real shopping and shopping spree, they're not expenses that are fixed. I hope not, because all those things will be upgraded by the time you keep doing it on your expenses. But your expenses are those things that you must service every single month. They are your daycare provider costs. They are your tuition for your children, if you have kids that you're paying for. Sometimes they can even be you putting money towards something that will be for the family. Going together and having a family time in somewhere where you can afford should be a budget item, because you have to rejuvenate as people. We plan work, we plan everything else. We need to plan how we spend our leisure, because that's what helps us to get rejuvenated. That's what helps us to get connected with the family and then come back all energized again. So that could be a line item. Your food, everything else that you know, the gas in your car, your clothing doesn't have to be all designer. If you can't afford it yet, just look smart and neat and put that as a line item. What you want to happen is that at every given time, you have a picture of what is important to you, not what I think is important to you. I might think, oh, such and such, you should be wearing all this, carrying all this, carrying that. You know what you can carry. What you can carry today will still be there tomorrow. And probably with all bigger and better bells and whistles to make you show up confidently. But know your season, know your reason. Once you know your season and you know your reason, your own life journey and your financial trajectory is your own personal agenda. It is nobody's business. I tell people, if what you need to do is to say, oh, especially emerging leaders, you want to fit in with your friends, you want them to think one way or the other about you. Even some adults that are established, they do that. You want them to think that, okay, you're this. No, that's so unnecessary. You have to know your journey and the reason. Once you know that, you can quickly say, you know what, Debbie, I don't, it's not within my budget. That's an acceptable statement. You're like, let's go eat, Remi, let's go to this. Just, oh, but it's not in my budget this month. Two things you've done. You've put something in the psyche of that individual. Her budget? She's just a regular person. What is she talking about? Some people will ask you that. What is she talking about? Budget? What does she have? They don't get it. You might be the person that would let that person understand that a budget doesn't have to be when you make millions. I see a hand up. Did I see a hand raised?
Oh, sorry, it was just a thumbs up. I'm just agreeing.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't read it well. Yeah. Yes. So when you say, thank you. When you now tell the person, yeah, I have a budget, that's an opportunity to educate that individual, especially if they're in your circle, guys. They better be as razor sharp ready as you. And you better not let them pull you to their corner of no planning. No planning doesn't mean that they're not your friends, but don't let them pull you to the corner whereby you're trying to go with the Joneses. No, the Joneses will not bail you out when you're stuck, when you can't pay your rent, when you can't pay your car note. The Joneses might bail you out occasionally, but they will not be there if you turn them into an ATM machine to solve your problems. So you have to understand your reason and the season that you're in, knowing that every season is for a reason. And because it's for a reason, it won't always last permanently like that. So why do we need to plan? We need to plan because you can't control the seasons. Next step. The seasons are attached to economic situations, political situations, health situations, in case of the COVID world. So you have to be razor sharp ready to know that you are going to work with a budget that is created by Remi for Remi, because you are the only person that can be true to yourself. I can fake it, wing it, try to make it look all that fluffy and all of that. You know what you have in the bank account. You know where the shoe is pinching you. You know what is necessary that you have to deal with every month. So why don't you put those things there first before you jump in and a friend says, oh, let's go to Cancun or wherever everybody goes. Those trips are important. They need to be planned. If somebody just jumps off the cuff and say, oh, we're going to Mexico tomorrow, giving you a week's notice, that's poor planning, guys. At least you have to fly there. You have to sleep somewhere, even if you're budding up with 10 people, you have to eat. I don't care how much you spend. You might say this is a little amount. That little amount belongs to your savings because you didn't plan it. They planned it. Maybe now they are short one person or two people, and they just need a good person that they can trust, that they want to be around, and they try to sell you on, oh, you know, you need a break. You've been working so hard, yada, yada, yada. Yes, I've been working so hard. I know when I want to take my own vacation. Not when you tell me. We can plan it together. And that's what I recommend, because friends can plan together. Of course, you got to enjoy life. If life is not being enjoyed in what you do, then you shouldn't be part of it. We should not be enduring life. And the reason we go through the enduring is because we don't know our season, and sometimes we miss our reason. And when we miss all of that, we cannot focus on things that are priority. Budgeting should be next to everything else that you do. It should be priority, because that's the true picture of what you have, what you own, and what you owe. And you always want to have a net worth, at least have a balance. Let there be a little change. And that little change is not meant to be spent all in that vacation. Remember, segue to planning for your retirement. I tell people you plan for retirement the minute you start working. And I've seen it work when you work it. You don't want to say, oh, I'm still young, I'm only this, I'm only that. In America, there's a tax break when you can write off, when you are putting money in your retirement, it reduces your tax liability. Even if it doesn't, the time value of money will make it work for you. So you will start putting something aside. If you start having a little net, or at some point when you get to be a mastery of savings movement, I call it, you would also know that saving for your retirement is paramount, because one day we will retire and you want to continue the same level of life that you're living. So your line item can include your retirement amount that you're going to put there, or you can wait to see when you have your net. And now don't just think it's next to go shopping, to go on a spree and just to impress. You should think about priorities that will always come to you and you will need to address, because nobody will manage your life for you than you. So your budget has to be tight. And your budget your budget is a working document. It's not going to be fixed for life. Hopefully we get a raise at least once a year, or however often. Even if we don't get a raise, you have side hustles that you do that's giving you a little income, that's letting you flex your muscle to think, I can go be an entrepreneur someday. Not right now, but while you're trying to figure if that's the way to go, you clearly can now be putting those money aside and be using the same principle of savings. That everything that comes in, whether through your side hustle or through your 9 to 5, you still tithe yourself, because that's income. You put that away. Now you can now treat yourself more because you have a little bit of surplus than just if you have one income. But remember, the rule of thumb is the 6 months emergency funds. I want to even say 1 year if you can. COVID is just making me change all of my thought process regarding that. Maybe have it there. And if it's there, it's your money. If you need it, you go get it. It's not, I mean, you're not going to say I have emergency money and you need it for something right now that maybe you feel like it's not an emergency, but you need it. Yeah, you can occasionally go, it's your money, you can go into it. And maybe you want to double up and work hard for it. But your budget has to be very simple. It has to be managed every week if you can. Check and see what went out. What did you go to your transaction history on your check card or ATM, whatever we call it in our different countries. What did you swipe? That swipe thing is crazy. You keep swiping. That's like writing checks. Maybe if they make us stop and write the check, you'll be like, oh, do I have the money? Well, you just swipe away. Go on that transaction history. What are you swiping, guys? Whatever you are swiping and spending your money on, go to your priority list of life. How important are those things you are swiping it? Is your swiping all going into eateries? Is your swiping going into social activities only? What are you swiping for? And once you can feel good about what you're swiping for, I'm not going to sit here and judge anybody. That's you. If that's what you want, then you keep doing it. But if the swiping is taking you to making Mr. Big Soap rich because you keep coming and Tantalizer and all these other good things that are there, then that's on you. If you can do it, then you do it. But don't make your budget be something that you just handle lackadaisically. No, that's your life. That's your blueprint. That's the real deal. That's your nakedness to yourself. Because your nakedness to yourself is going to guide you from making sure that some mistakes can be avoided. And when those mistakes are avoided, you are able to have a stronger balance sheet. And I know you're like, I'm personal, I'm an individual. What is she talking about, balance sheet? Yes, charity begins at home. Some of you will end up owning your own business. But if you cannot handle your own affairs, you cannot discipline yourself. You don't know how to save. You don't know how to turn away from things that are not priority. How are you going to manage a business where you have lives depending on you to write a check for their salary? You have people coming to you for charitable engagement that they want you to sow a seed. And now you have to worry about yourself getting a little peanuts to take home so you can put food on your table. It's deep, guys, it's deep, but it starts with us. And when we get it right, honestly, when we get it right, we can say those no's and explain. And we can defer gratification on how we want to see our life unfold. And we can explain to people who will care to listen. Always have the mindset of doing good, of paying it forward, no matter how little and so on and so forth. Try to make sure that you're not just amassing all the wealth or time just for what you will gain. When you leave it as such that you're able to give back through those things, you're going to have open doors to other opportunities that maybe might be the game changer for you. I've seen that happen a lot of times. You might think you're out there serving somebody, working for them. You also will be using that as a way to hone your skills, as a way to expand your network, to meet other people who will write that big check, who will make that salary double or make it 50% more, and just open a door that will be effortless and will bring income to you. If you have any questions, put it on there. I know I'm going a little fast, and slow me down. I'm being told I speak fast, so let me know if I need to slow down. But as I'm going, I also want to let you know, I see a hand raised. Is that Kenny Napier? Is that a hand raised, Mr. Osho?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Please, you may unmute yourself and ask a question. I think Kenny, right?
Oh, or maybe, okay, I'll keep going. I didn't want to just ignore any, because it's an interactive session. So maybe.
Yeah, I think they just unmuted. I don't know if they want to ask the question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, should I go ahead since I can't.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, and we'll come back to you, Kenny. We're not ignoring your hands. We will have a few minutes, so I'm going to try to wrap up so you can have ability to ask questions. So now you have your budget, and I said it's a walking document, so you're always going to add to it, take from it, have conversation, but always be in a conversation where financial matters are discussed. For the bare minimum, have a mastery of how your savings trajectory will be going. Your current account, whether it's the ATM that you use to balance it, know how things are working. Your investment opportunity to upgrade from a regular savings, know the various types, know when you're ready. Ask your banker, share what you have on your mind. They will guide you. They're professional. They know what they're doing, guys. But if we don't talk to them until we have a need, and then we're in a hurry, you're never going to know. They'll look at it and say, oh, Mr. Such and Such, you've had this average for over a year. Yes, I think that you can, if this is what you're thinking, this is a good idea. Talk to your banker, make relationship out of your banking. Don't think that because your balance is not so huge. They don't know what you have with other banks. They don't know. If they're good bankers, they should be treating you like gold, because you might just bring everything else from another bank to make them look good and meet their target. So just a sidebar. So you have your balance sheet, it's done. You have all the regular planning that you need to have, and you're inspecting it and adjusting, and occasionally you're missing the boat. You forget all these things we've talked about. You get a little bit ambitious and go do some things. It's okay. You just need to go back to the drawing board. That's why you have to look at it. Looking at this takes less than 10 minutes. It's not, I mean, how big is your balance sheet? It can be so big that you have a headache. Take 10 minutes out of your week just to look at it. Did somebody even put a transaction through that maybe you didn't know about? Because you have it like that. Your balance is huge and you can't tell when little amounts are taking out. Just look at it. And that becomes a habit. And once you look at it, you might see a trace of where you have gone that week. And you might see some things that you knew that, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Immediately you correct yourself versus waiting till the end of the month, where you do the real reconciliation and see what happens. You've got to maintain your financial journey. That's the literacy part. And financial literacy is huge. Another, hopefully, Dr. Akitade will do another session on something else. But for this today, this is just the basic. It's divided in so many areas. And the next area that I'm dovetailing to is, there's a popular saying, I
have a quick question before you go to the next area. So there's a question here, and I think this is a good question. Oh, I see Mrs. Fadeami is answering it also in the chat, but someone asked a question, and Folashade is our Health for Nigeria Nurses School Coordinator, so she's usually very interactive here. In case of an emergency that is beyond my budget, is it advisable to take from my savings or borrow from other people? And just to expand upon her question, a lot of us save, and the moment we run into a small emergency, we empty out the savings and we can't maintain, momentum to grow the savings. So what do you do when you encounter an emergency and you have this savings?
Thank you so much, Ms. Folashade, and thank you, Dr. Akitade. I'll give you two answers, and that's the segue to the next phase that we're going to. In the banking and the finance world, we say a saying that you use other people's money to make money. So in that case, I can answer it and then I'll go into the credit, because I'm going to talk about credit very briefly before we end the session. And I get it, we have 30 more minutes. I promise I'll be done. Credit is another way that you can also extend something to yourself if the use is good, if the use will be a value addition. That's one way. You can borrow from family or people if they would lend, if they have it to give you. Absolutely, because that might not cost you a high interest rate, or maybe they will just give it to you. You just have to be able to deliver back. And we'll talk about the C's of credit. Of course, if you have it in your savings, and if it's something important, that's the first default to go to, because it's free, it's your money, but it better be for a good reason that you can feel like I have to do it. It cannot just be a super 100% gamble. It has to be something that you have a conviction that you're going to put your eggs in. Your conviction doesn't mean it would work, but it means that you believe in it. And whatever we believe in, we work hard at. So yes, I would say you can go to your savings if you have friends or families who can step up and show up for you. That's also a good de facto, because then you're not dealing with a high interest rate. They're not looking for your blood type and all your credit and all of that. They just believe in your vision, and they let you have something to start up because they believe in you. They go ahead and do that. And then of course, the other way is through credit system. And I want to just chime in. I know that maybe in Nigeria, the credit system is not so popular because people have cash and they buy houses in cash in millions and all of that. But that's changing a little. I know people who have lines of credit who are in the system and they can use it. But how do you even get to that point whereby, as Folashade's question stated, and as Dr. Akintade also alluded to, these are resources. These are sources that you can go to for emergency, yes, but not everybody has that. Not everybody has that. Or even when we have that, the people that are in that network might not be in a capacity to help us. So that means before we even get to those points, we do what we call a credit establishment. A credit establishment, and I'm being careful to say it because I know we have people from all over the world. In America, especially, and all over the world, there are 5 C's of credit. Credit is king, and I say that boldly. Credit is so needful that we should not be afraid of it, but we should understand it, and we should know how to work it, and we should know how to use credit, because credit is there to enhance your work, especially if you have a business or you are an individual that's thinking of doing things. If you own your home, you can have a home equity line. And if there's something big that you're passionate and committed to, you can go ahead and do it if you have thought it through. But before you get to that point, you have to have an established credit. And an established credit, you can't go to a school and say, oh, School of Establishing Credit, here I come. We can have sessions like we're having now to talk about what is required for you to even think of being a good credit risk. When you get to that point, you have to have the character. Your character has to be on point. And when I say character, it's not just the good old smiling at your banker and say, hi, Debbie, good morning, or sitting with them, shooting the breeze and just saying everything that's funny and they like you. That's not what I mean. I'm saying character as in your ability to deliver and to have integrity of your word. There are people who can pay a bill, but they will forget because they are busy. I used to bank people. I was a private banker for so many big and mighty people in my banking days that I had clients who they were just busy, period. But that was the good old days. You could pick up the phone and say, Mr. Customer, I see you on this waiting OD list. What's going on? Oh, Remi, I'm coming to the bank. Yes, they had a Remi who could call them. I didn't have to call them. Those items can be returned. And when they're returned, they negate your character. It just means that you can't tell somebody I forgot. Do you forget something that's important to you? Not all the time. We're not supposed to, if we do. So as someone that's looking to go into the credit system, you've got to have your character on point. It's not how you look. It's not the color of your skin. People mix it up. They're like, oh, people are discriminating. Da, 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 da. Yes, discrimination exists. But in the banking industry, a lot of the guidelines are just the guidelines. And why the guidelines don't favor the Black and brown people is because we don't ever get to have conversations like this that would let us talk heart to our people to say, listen, banks lend based on facts and guidelines and not on emotions. I don't see your color when you come and apply for a loan. I see, what do you meet the guideline? And if you have messed up your credit and you have ignored being responsible for other people who maybe you have reached out to help you. If you have not delivered, it will be recorded on your credit. So that's you showing up and somebody is reporting it because you're now on the records on the credit system. Then number two, another C is capacity. What is your capacity? Your ability to repay that bill. If you're going to go into that, what is it? They will not just say, here, take this line, you can have it. They will look at what income do you have to service the debt. That's why it's important to report our income correctly, especially those of us who are self-employed. A lot of times, a lot of things could be written off. And if that's what you depend on for going to apply for credit and so forth, that will be like shooting oneself in the foot, because you can't have your cake and eat it. If you write everything off, you're not going to show the income, and then you're not going to be strong enough to get what you need to get to grow your business. So it's a catch-22. Just be wise and be fair and be honest. Honesty is the best key. When you can do that, everything will gel. It might not gel when you want it, but every pieces of the puzzle will come together and would enable you as an individual to be credit ready and strong. Then the capital. Do you have a skin in the game? That's the third C. What is your skin in the game? When you have a need for something, like Folashade said, if there's a need to borrow and so on and so forth, maybe I'm going to just assume that maybe we're borrowing to start a business, or we have an idea that's so germane and exciting, and we just know that it's going to work if we work it, and it's just our vision, and we want to sell it to other people and let them understand that yes, this will work. I'm going to work hard for you for this. I mean, your money will be for sure. I'm a good investment. So you're doing all of this. Yes, it's something that's passionate to you, but what is your skin in the game? What do you have to offer other than the beautiful idea and the words on paper, which is called business plan in some places? What else do you bring to the game? What is your stake that will pinch your pocket when you come to the bank, when you come to the individual? Always think of that. If I come to you and I don't have a repayment source after you've investigated and talked to me, and I don't convince you that this is something that will come back easily, not that you don't like me or trust me, you just don't see how I'm going to be able to repay you, you might tend to say, you know what, right now I can't help you. This is what I can do. So that's the same thing with the bank, especially with the bank who are custodians over of their clients. The money is not theirs, it's their shareholders. So they have to be sure that they are extending credit and support to people who truly have a skin skin in the game, and who are stakeholders who they can now support and lift up. And such skin in the games can come through your relative, like I think Falashade mentioned, or your savings. That's your own skin in the game. So when they see that you have your skin in the game, in addition to your educational or your experiential platform that is needed to grow that business or to start that business, people will be more comfortable to at least give you a few coins here and there to kick it out for you. And then, of course, the condition. What is the condition that you are in? What is the condition of that investment that you're going to be going into? You have to understand that. Do you understand it? If you've ever written a business plan, you see that there's so many sections of it, and you wonder, why are they asking this? Trust me, if you truly are the one that engaged in writing your own business plan, and I say you yourself, not just handing it to somebody, it will help you think through your business. It will help you know why it's important that you're part of it. I'm not saying you should write all of it, but be engaged. Who are your competitors? If you know who they are, you might be the one that will have an answer to how you're going to deal with them, so that you disrupt them. You might have to step it up and ask for another idea, or come up with another idea that will make your competitors be like flies that will fall, because you all just have idea. But if you're not able to be part of the writing exercise, you're letting somebody else think for you. Remember, you're the visionary. You're the one that has the vision. It's not somebody else. You're busy, I get it. but it's your vision. So you've got to make provision to be able to ensure that your plan is on point. So as you're doing this, you're thinking through your plan, you're thinking your exit strategy, because you also want to see how do you get out when you start seeing the stormy weather and all of that, or how do you not get out? How do you stay stronger? You might want to bring partners in and so forth. So all of these conditions are very important, and so is your collateral. What do you have to offer? In addition to having a skin in the game, there are collaterals that might be required. When you have a collateral that helps you to solidify and to strengthen your credit application, it makes the lenders or whoever is extending the credit to you to be a little lenient, because they are comfortable now that you have some skins in the game all across the board. So they go check. They'll be begging you and giving you lines of credit. Sometimes American Express is good at that. They give you this credit card that you can go and buy a house as long as you pay it off by the next billing period. It's an open card that you can do anything with. Your catch is to pay it off. And if you have the money, why not use it? You pay it off through what you have in the bank, and the line is free again. So you're walking around with card that is just open-ended that you can use. But guess what? Know your reason and your season, so that you're not misusing resources that are meant for something else that you had intended. You have to be intentional in everything that you do, because you only have a one-time opportunity to get things right when you're managing your financial trajectory. Of course, you can say, well, you can mess up and come back, but the trajectory is having the process and the pattern in your head. So if you have to replicate it, if you have to repeat it, you already know what to do. You already know how to rebuild, because you understood where you messed up. When I had my own mortgage company, when the meltdown came, I didn't know it was a meltdown. Still very young, energetic, full of energy, always working hard. But I didn't know it was a meltdown in the economy. I know, I'm like, you're thinking, go figure, banker. I didn't know it was economy. I was entrenched in my business. So I didn't know it was economic turndown, meltdown. I thought it was a short-term problem. So I went and liquidated my 401k to invest into my business. Never do that. Thinking that by the time I come back and we rebound, I'm still only in my early 40s, and I had another maybe 15, 20 years to work. But that was the biggest mistake. But I knew I work hard. I'm not a lazy person. I can work it. Nobody can outwork me or outthink me. So I figure only what I just needed is the money. So it did all of that. Never do that. Why did I do that? I didn't want to mess up my credit. I knew that there were debts that were already outstanding that needed to be serviced, regardless of the story. Your lender don't want stories. If you tell too many stories, they'll come after whatever you are using as collateral. So I didn't want to have to, and because I was a former banker, I didn't want to do all of that. But I ended up doing what I did. Until today, it was not the best decision, because what I tried to safeguard still became a problem. So if I had just understood that it was an economic meltdown, I would have not done what I did. But that was my fault. I can't blame anybody for not telling me. I should have known better. I just got engaged in my work that I thought I had more time to rebuild my 401k. But thank God that is history now. But that was an experience that I always share, especially when we're talking about financial literacy. So even the best of teacher can still make a mistake of a lifetime and wonder, because that was the best thing I thought I could do. That was the easiest safe haven I could go to. But it would have been nice if the money was in my savings, but it was in my 401k, my retirement account, monies that were supposed to be used for retirement that maybe one had a tax break on. Now you have to pay taxes on it and you still ended up losing it. So be careful to know where to go to when you have to rescue yourself. When you have to rescue yourself, be mindful of where you go to. You can go there if you need to, but make sure you don't do the whole thing. Do some of it if you have to, but never liquidate everything just for any business, because at the end of the day, the tax penalty is huge. And especially if what you're trying to salvage still doesn't stay alive and the economy had taken over, then it's a lose-lose. So don't ever get into a lose-lose situation. Learn from my own experience. But thank God for God everything is being rebuilt, and my passion didn't let me feel the pain. I was still able to continue to do what God created me to do, which is what I'm doing now, developing people and just being a servant leader. And I enjoy that every minute of the day. So never was able to sit down and feel sorry for myself, because there was no necessity for that other than to keep helping others. And through that, God enables things that I never even thought can happen. So I say that for some of us who might be on the call, who are thinking, I mean, you're thinking something that you can't even ask. That's why I threw that out, because sometimes we can't always ask everything on a public forum. But if there are questions that you have that you want us to deal with privately, you can let Mr. Osho know, let Dr. Akintade know. We can always have a closed Zoom session to discuss based on whatever they have available. The 7:30 time frame is the best for me, or 7, because very soon we're starting school. I teach also at the university. School will go back, and so my schedule becomes stricter, but 7 and 7:30-ish is usually a good time. My classes don't start till 8:30. So if we need to do a Zoom call, we can do that. I see a hand being raised. I'll take that and take that question, and maybe there are questions that we need to deal with before we run out of time and I get in trouble with Mr. Osho. He won't have me come back again. All right, Mr. Alumide, I see your hand up.
All right, thank you, Ma. Okay, so this is my question actually. For me, I work with the government, and I'm a salary earner, and I think with some other people who are participants here too. Now, there is this saying about getting credits. In a situation where you probably approach the bank or maybe the cooperative or anything to get credit, I want to get your advice. Some people do say, don't get credit except you want to use it for something that will bring you money. So, but on another hand, for people who are not entrepreneurs or business people who want to invest that kind of money, maybe like people want to use it to buy a car, people want to use it to buy land, and thinking, how much am I going to save? For how long am I going to save a particular amount of money to be able to buy a plot of land or something? And if you say you want to keep saving, you don't know, like in inflation and everything, like the land that is probably like maybe 200,000 naira or a million naira today, maybe in the next 5, I don't know, maybe like a year that you save up that kind of money, that particular land would have been maybe like 2 million by then. So you still need to add to save more and more. So like, what would be your advice? Because at the end of the day, I understand the part of business. Once you invest in business, that business will generate the money that will pay back. But on the other hand, like from the salary that you have, you'll be paying a huge amount to service the debt. And you also have other responsibilities and the rest. And you also have just the savings culture that you also advise to. So like in that kind of situation, what advice will you give, Ma?
Sure. Thank you so much. That is a loaded question. So help me God. I'm going to give you, and please check with your local advisor, but this is, I had the privilege of living in Nigeria for 5 years. So I'm going to just talk from what I believe should be the way, because I've heard this question before, but by all means, I'm no expert to tell you. I'm not in the market, so I can't give you the facts verbatim. So check with somebody else. You have to count the cost. You have to know what is the priority. In this case, you're talking about a cooperative extending credit for you to get land and so forth. What is the cost? What is the significance of what you need that money for? And you have answered your own question. If you have to save till you can afford a house, it might take a while. So if your choice of investment is going to be for an appreciating collateral, I am always for it. Again, it also depends on your risk tolerance. If you're going to be investing in a cooperative, maybe to get a land or to be part of a housing scheme, and they will be taking the money from your account. Personally, I don't know how, what's the quickest way that you can get that other than through such a medium. That's one thing. I'm not sure if there's any other way. So if you say you're going to do it yourself and you're saving, I'm not sure how fast or how slow it would be. So my advice, if I have to give any, would be that you count the cost, you do a thorough investigation and understanding on how that extension of credit, how it works. Ask questions on how, I know they take it from your paycheck. Look at your income and what will be left after they take it out. If you have a spouse or somebody else that needs to know what is going on, do you all need to cut down on your current expenses so that even when they are taking that money towards the housing or towards something significant, you can still have an opportunity, because maybe reduce what you're eating, all the HFNs, all of the outings and things that you do. So you're able to take care of that expense, because it's a family expense, a joint expense. But I would not discourage someone from leveraging a cooperative to get into a housing scheme. I would not discourage someone from leveraging a cooperative that would support a business venture, provided for the business venture that you have done your work, WORK, not just an expression of, oh, so everybody is doing it, everybody is going into farming, I'm going to farming. You've got to be laser focused on what you are going to do and how it's going to get you money. If you've done all of that, then definitely you can check in and leverage it, because I said it earlier, you have to use other people's money to make money. And you can say, if I get a house, how is that making money? You're building equity by just living in your house. The value is appreciating. So that's making money. When you are making that appreciation, you're not going to go and give some to the bank. All they want is pay my mortgage, pay my bill. I mean, just pay whatever you commit to. They don't care about how else your value is appreciated. I don't know if this answers your question, Olumide. We can talk offline if you want me to dig deeper. You can let Mr. Osho know, Dr. Akindade know, and we can do that. But I don't know if that even helps to even clarify anything at all.
So
yes, it's helpful, ma. Thank you, ma.
Yeah, thank you. So we have, I think, about a couple questions in chat, and I know you are mentioning some things regarding credit and how that can assist, but I think this one is very interesting. So we have a question from Techno. I think that's the person. Yes, if eventually there is no sales, especially for those in business areas. So if you have a business and you're not getting sales, however, you have a lot of budget items like on ground or things you need to pay for. What can you do if there's also no savings available either? So a business owner doesn't have savings, is not making sales, but has a lot of budget items to pay for. They're trying to find out what they can do in that situation. And the second question we have from Folashade says, in a situation whereby—
Can I take you one at a time? Can I?
Oh, sure. Sure.
Yeah,
Sure,
let me answer that very quickly. That's a very good question. And that is an entrepreneurial life question, because that always is the case. And yeah, you cannot manufacture money when you don't have money at a point to do what you need to do. What I've seen people done and what I've recommended that my clients do is call the vendor, whoever you're owing. Let them know. Don't wait till the payment is due. Let them know what you're going through. They're human beings. They have blood flowing in their veins. Even if it's a bank, you'll be amazed. Your bank wants to hear from you. Let them know, be proactive to engage with such a person and say, oh, guess what? Provided that they've seen how you've been paying in the past. It's not like since you hit the loan, you haven't paid anything. Life showed up. Hey, that's what happens. We don't have control over life, but you have to communicate with those people, those vendors on those budget items that you have to pay. And you have to explain to them what is going on. Right now, no sales are coming. There's no income coming at all in my house. I'm sick, I'm this, whatever the situation is. And please be truthful. Be truthful. Because your stories, if it's not truthful, you will change it. And everything you are saying, they are recording. When they see the truthfulness in what you're saying, they are going to step up and tell you what they can do. They might say, oh, Remi, I will extend the maturity to, instead of 5 years, maybe we'll push it to 15 years to give you a way to be paying us a little now, and then we will give you up to 5 years to catch up. I'm just throwing that out. That could be an option that they will have. Or they could decide on something creative, because you've come to them. They also probably are not hearing it just from you, right? Maybe there are other people who have been man enough, woman enough to just say, guess what, Mr. Vendor, this is what I'm going through. I just got over an illness. I just don't have sales. All my customers just had a meltdown, or all my customers just went through COVID scenario. Be truthful. Tell them the story why you're not getting the income. You cannot manufacture money. And when you do that, they will work with you. Whatever agreement you have with them, please work it. When you have the agreement and you still think that it's not working, or something shows up again, be proactive to communicate and restate why. So they see that you are inclusive and you're driving this, and they know you care, that you're not just looking at this as, oh, well, they'll figure it out if I don't call them. Or if they're calling you and you're not answering your phone, they're emailing you, you're not responding, they've got to know what you're thinking. Then they're going to be like, okay, let's take this person to the credit bureau, this and that. People, bankers and lenders, they're not credit agencies. They don't want to collect debts. They're not debt collectors, and they don't want to take your collateral. They're not mortgage. They don't sell real estate. They don't want to sell your real estate. They're not car dealership. They don't want to take your car. They want you to communicate with them so they can know where you stand, and they can tell you where they can stand with you. And when they tell you where they can stand, make sure you stand with them. Live by your word. And when things happen that you have to break your word, go back to the drawing board. It's real life. And that's, we just have to work with each other. But communication is very key. Not sure if that helps to clarify that question by the person that asked it.
Yeah, and I think if they have any follow-up, they can probably add that in the chat. Okay. But I think I'd like to hop to the second question too. This is actually very interesting. I think a few people might find themselves in this kind of situation. So this is from Fola Shadi, and she says, in a situation whereby I'm earning just a little, that's not even enough for upkeep. So I guess that's your monthly, budget and all of that. But she can save 5% every month. However, has to borrow from people to add to the upkeep before the next salary. So she's asking, what should she do in that situation? Should she stop saving and add it to what she's spending every month, or should she continue to borrow until she either has enough in her savings or gets a better job? So I don't know if that came across clearly.
Fola Shadi, that is $1 million question. I'm going to give you, take a stab at it, and then you can, again, all of these decisions are very personal. So whatever I'm sharing doesn't mean that it's, but usually there will be things I've seen done. I wouldn't say if you're borrowing to pay your bills, it negates your reason for savings. I mean, why would you be borrowing for your basic upkeep now? Things that you have to do all the time. You know what you have to pay for all the time. If you're borrowing to do that and you're saving, I think what I would do is the ability to, number one, you can look for something else to augment your income. And I know it's not always very easy. It's easier said than done. I get it. So Falasha did hear me out. You might not be able to find something that you can do to augment that. I would not be borrowing money to take care of my upkeep and be saving. I really don't think that makes good sense. It's a season that you're going through. If whoever, and Shadi, I'm not talking to you alone. It's a season. Remember I said there's a season and there's a reason for the season. So if you are in a season that something is happening that's not allowing you to show up, that doesn't mean you don't know the power of savings. It just means you don't have the resources to save with. So I would never borrow to be paying my bills and then be saving. It doesn't work. But what can work is maybe rather than doing the 5%, if maybe you cut it to even 0.5%, even if you cut it to $10, or just have a fixed amount that you know that you can have opportunity costs in saving, maybe through your habits. You eat out. I pick on people who eat out a lot. I do, but I do it with reasons. And I know sometimes the food is so expensive that I still come home and I'm hungry. So I always make sure that it's for a good reason. So maybe there are some habits that you can cut down on that will shave off your expenses. It could be as little as $50 a month. It doesn't have to be a lot of amount. If you're driving everywhere, maybe you need to carpool. If you're going to places that you don't have business going, maybe you need to stay home and not go out and waste money when you know that each time you go to the mall, you're going to be buying. I don't window shop, so you won't see me just lackadaisically making a mall trip my own fun thing, because it's not fun to me. I'm going to be torturing myself because everything I see I will want to buy. Since I discovered that as a weakness, I stay away from the mall. Or if I really have to go, I have a specific reason and I get in, I get out. If it's a day that I just feel like being a mall girl, I don't take my cards with me. I don't take anything that would allow me to go and get in trouble because I can't see and not buy. So that's just, you know, your limitation. So in this case, Shadi, I think just maybe cutting the savings to a minimal amount, so you still know that you are doing the justice of saving something, will be a good way. And then you are looking for something else to augment your work. Find out what skills do you have, what other things that do you like doing that maybe you have been doing voluntarily. And that's why it's good to volunteer, guy. You've got to volunteer for Help for Nigeria in addition to working here. You've got to volunteer because that's how you are able to discover your passion and your gift, because now you get to use Help for Nigeria as a test run that will help you see what you really love to do. So I threw that here. Help for Nigeria didn't send me to do that. So if any of you mind, don't mind me. I'm just trying to let you know that's a platform where you can volunteer to hone your skills. And when you hone your skills, you can now use those skills to solve somebody else's problems. It might even be Help for Nigeria that will recommend you and use their access to open that up. Just food for thought. So that could be how you generate additional income. And when you generate that additional income, make sure you don't forget your savings assignment. You don't forget, it's not extra money. Remember, you got to go back to the drawing board. Every time you can inch up your savings plan, you go and do it. So I hope that helps a little. If it still doesn't, I can go deeper. So let me know.
Thank you, Dr. Duyile. That was very helpful. And even though this is not a family affair, even though charity starts at home, you know, my oldest sister, Mrs. Remi, who, you know, started her own business from nothing and has tremendous experience, has also been providing some information in the chat. My younger brother, who, you know, a lot of us are aspiring to where Dr. Duyile was. You know, Ayo is the vice president of First National Bank. You know, he said he wanted to give some.
Yes, I'm just reading that. We love to hear from our colleague. Yes.
AY, please, you know.
Go for it. Good to see you, Ayo. I didn't even see that.
Hello, Dr. Duyile. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Good to see you. Long time no see.
Long time no see. I know because of COVID, we usually run into each other at networking events in PG County and in Anne Arundel County as well. But hopefully, because the world is opened back up, hopefully I would be able to run into you sooner than later.
Yes.
But thank you so much for the insight that you actually just presented. I actually find myself having these kinds of conversations with a lot of my clients, especially recently, with everything that has happened so far, you know, with the world shutting down and people not knowing exactly where to turn. I think there are a lot of people that are trying to reevaluate a lot of things that they're currently doing. Most importantly, how to save money or how to grow the money that they already have. And the first thing I always share with folks is, you know, a lot of times people have that misconception that maybe if I'm not saving enough, it's because I'm not making enough. And that's what it is. If you make $1 million and you make a cent, always be broke. So always take that into account. And I appreciate the fact that Dr. Duyile actually brought that up. You might have to reevaluate some of your life choices, your habits, your spending habits. At the same time, too, if you're saving money and you have a goal of how much you would like to save, once you get to what your goal starts to look like it's reachable, you have to start thinking about that, the multiples of 10. And what I mean by multiples of 10 is you should always have that mindset of how you can develop converting that amount of money you've saved into more money. I like to call that reoccurring income. So you can find some kind of trade, something that best works for you. It has to be something you love. If you don't love it as much, you would not put your all into it, but you have to find the best way to be able to use that money to make money for you. Let it work for you. Because if you're just saving money, we're all human. We always find a reason or a need for something that we feel like we deserve. And the second that starts to happen, that money that you saved, you will find a reason to spend it. So first and foremost, I think it's very important for you to reevaluate a lot of your life choices. Sometimes you might have to find a way to make more money, maybe get a second job or look for something else to do to accommodate that additional savings that you want to save, but never borrow money from somebody else in order for you to save, because that defeats the purpose. Reevaluate your spending habits. Try to cut down on your spending habits. And then once you start to save, even if you were saving 5% before and you're cutting down to 1%, look for a way to double that. Look for something. It could be something really little initially that can grow into something big. But like I said before, ensure it's something you love. That way there's passion behind it. Once there's passion behind it, the sky's the limit. And it's unreal how some people don't actually realize what they can make money from doing. Some people just call things passion projects, and there's no passion project that you can turn into a earning project. I, for one, at one point in time, I used to enjoy working on, rehabs. I would go in, with my friends who had house flips, and I would, just help them, with the mindset of putting everything together and helping them understand exactly who they can actually call and who would be the right person to do what. And until I realized that, well, that's project management. If I'm going to be doing it for them for free, that was my way of learning how to do it, how to perfect the way of doing it. Now that I have perfected the way of doing it, how do I turn that into actually making some income for myself? The second I realized that was a side hustle for me. So like I said before, first thing, you want to save some money, realize how much you want to save. After that, you have to reevaluate some of your spending habits and your life choices. And then once you saved enough, find a way to multiply that amount of money. That's the only way for you to grow whatever you're trying to say. I'm sorry I cut into some of your time, Dr. Duyile, but I just wanted to kind of donate my 2 cents.
No, not at all. That's what it's all about, the voice of power and reasoning. Thank you so much. And everything you said, right on the money. So thank you. I great seeing you, and thanks for your wealth of information. I'm sure we'll have you on this platform also at some point to keep us. Yeah, we will use this to share more information, because this is a topic that's here to stay. And thank you for chiming in and validating that your auntie's old knowledge is still current. Even this knowledge that we're sharing now, that I'm sharing, is way back, but I know it's the same every time. You being a current vice president, clearly confirming most of the things that we've said makes us to know financial literacy is financial literacy. So once we get it right, everybody, we can use it over and over everywhere. All right. I don't know. I think I know my time is over. So thank you so much.
Dr. Duyile, there's one more question.
Okay.
And after this question, I want you to leave us with a charge. Because I think a lot of people listen to these types of conversations from well-meaning and well-educated people who talk a lot about, financial literacy, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. But I feel we don't leave the people with very specific instructions. Say, for example, if you haven't done these 3 things, when you leave here today, you should do A, B, and C. So I want you to leave us with a charge. I want you to give us some very concrete and specific directions, as we depart. But before that, there was a question. Is it true that one cannot be financially independent with just one source of income?
That's not true. No, that is absolutely not true. And the reason I can say that boldly, I had friends who never left the banking world ever since they started, since I left, and they are doing mightily well. And all they do is their 9 to 5. Of course, they're always growing. The fact that you're doing 9 to 5 doesn't mean you're not going to be growing. Your advancement in your corporation is what elevates your salary, your status, your exposure, your experience. So absolutely not. You do not have to. You can have a 9 to 5 and be all that and a bag of chips. And I see people who are living it right now, because you're going to keep working hard and getting more knowledge, helping more people. So your company, or as you boomerang with companies, they're going to see your value and leverage your value for the good of the company and escalate you, elevate you, pay you more money, get you sent to everywhere, and you're going to meet people and keep building your brand and your life and living that good and mighty life, which I experienced before I left Bank of America. So that clearly is not true. So, and it's not true even anywhere in the world, I know, because I know I have friends in different parts of the world who are strictly 9 to 5. They're not crazy like me. They want to be solving problems, and they want to just be in a corporate setting, and they're doing well, and they're enviable people. I don't know if that helps the answer to the question.
That was very helpful. Thank you.
Yes, definitely.
Sorry, what I want to also say is just be committed to whatever job you're doing, because what you do for others by being an employee is what you're going to replicate for yourself. So don't shack your responsibilities and just say, oh, 9 to 5, at 5, I'm clocking out. Do the extra stuff so that you are able to be a model, a yardstick that the company can see and relate to. And then there are other people who will see you as a mentor that they can also learn from. And when you do all of that, you can really affect lives without necessarily being an entrepreneur. Sorry, Dr. Kitade, I think that was my.
No, thank you very much, Dr. Duyile. So please now, if you can leave us with a charge, we need 3 very specific things. Oh, we have Dr. Olupeju here. He has his hand raised. I think he has a question.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Olupeju. Dr. Olupeju is also on the board of the Advisory Board for Health for Nigeria. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I found this topic of financial literacy very informative. I've been listening, also I've been doing a few things. That's why you couldn't see my face. Been such a very early time in the morning. Now, my question is about stock market. When you invest in the stock market, how do you manage your money? I put some money in the stock market. I check on it from time to time. It goes up and down. And then I don't know what to do with it, whether to just leave it there or to withdraw some of the money or put more money or just leave it there for as long as it can be. So, I just want you to shed some light on what I can do with my money, that I look every day and see how it's going up and down in the stock market. But I want to take some out. I don't even know how to take it out. So okay. I thought if I take it out, I'll be penalized. Should I add more to it or just leave whatever I have there and see it grow? Please, can you share some light on that?
Yes, thank you so much, sir. And the stock market is another kind of worms. They're licensed practitioners that have to talk about that. They are licensing that are required to publicly talk about stock market and how it works and what you should do. What I can promise to do, sir, is to have an investment advisor, someone who is licensed to call you and to be able to evaluate what you have. We're not allowed to speak in one shape or the other about stock market. When I was in corporate America, I was Series 663 license, never got my Series 7 because it wasn't required. And it's a thing that the system frowns upon if we go to that area, because stock fluctuates and there's so many nuances to it. So I promise I will make sure that I get somebody to reach out to you so you can now decide to have a conversation and ask them all of the questions so that we will stay compliant and not get anyone in any trouble. And I promise that will be done today.
I really, I really appreciate that, because as you know, when the market falls, you lose all your money, and then you become gun shy, invest in the stock market. But then you hear about stock market all the time, that you put your money in and let your money grow. So it's kind of confusing. I used to invest heavily, but I lost all my money a long time ago. But I went back in again, so that'd be great for somebody who who can really talk about that. Maybe they can talk to us just like you did today, so other people can also learn from that as well. But I really thank you for this information. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You can consider that done. We'll make sure that somebody talks to you and guides you on what needs to happen. And if we need to bring people up for such, we can go there. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you too.
Yes, sir. So should I go ahead,
Right.
Dr. Akintade, on my charge?
To add
All
about
right.
that, I thought it would be a good idea if you could give us information, if you think everybody who wants to diverge into the stock market should go and meet an advisor. I know Dr. Lupeju asked that specifically for himself, and you said yes to him, but I was wondering if you would also give that advice for anybody else trying to see that as a secondary source of potential income.
For everyone that is looking to see that as a secondary source of income, absolutely you need to see your financial advisor. Stock market is a totally different market that needs understanding. There's a special skill, there are licensing requirement. I don't know how it works in Nigeria, but definitely speaking, I would say talk to your bank and let them know what you're interested in, and they can guide you to who you would talk to about the stock market. Absolutely, that can be for everybody. Thank you, Mr. Osho, for that.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I would, sorry, was there another?
Yes, no, yeah, you're going to give us
I will give you my charge. And these are charges that are very doable. It starts with your mindset. First, I say thank you for this platform, Health for Nigeria. Thanks for all that you do in the healthcare space, the lives that are being touched, the work that's being done, the lives that, the emerging leaders that are doing it big and just earning. Dr. Akintade, you are super amazing, a good mentor to so many of these employees and commitment, people who are committed to this work. I don't want to leave this platform without saying thank you for this platform, because I know where this is going, and by the grace of God, we will all live to see the greatness of Health for Nigeria. The best is yet to come. And thanks for giving me this opportunity to say my 2 cents on financial literacy. And as always, I'm ever ready to serve in any capacity that I'm needed to ensure that this course is strong and is birthed the way you envision it and the way God envisions it. So my charge to all of us, including myself, you have to have a savings plan. So when you leave here now, if you don't have a savings account, or you have a savings account that you don't even understand what it is, I want you to have a mastery of your savings account and the types of savings accounts that you can invest into, because you have to save. I want you to purpose in your mind that there will be an amount that you will put aside every week. I didn't say every month. Every week. It can be $10. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the amount. There will be an amount every single week that you will put aside. And you know where you're going to find it from? You're going to find it from your current habits. You're going to evaluate what are you spending money on now. And you will monitor those things and see how you can scrape $10 out of it by changing how you use whatever you're using. I'm not asking you to go make more money, because I don't ever want to give you what you can leave here and do. So you go ahead and you do that. and say, oh, I've been doing coffee, I've been driving everywhere, burning gas money and all of that. Maybe I would just find something that you can shave from what you're already doing. And thirdly, this is a credit advice. I ask that you understand what credit means. You find out what credit means, because it's a good thing to be able to be credit worthy, where you can use other people's money to make money and grow yourselves individually and as a business. So you have to understand what is credit. How do you establish credit? For those who are here in America, it's very easy these days. You can go to your bank. They have cash secured credit card. They'll let you put money aside. It could be as low as $300 or whatever amount that your bank does. And then they will give you a card, but you already put your money as a collateral. Once you've done that for 6 months, everybody will be sending you pre-approval. And then you now can start establishing credit. When you establish credit, please and please manage your credit well. Pay on time, do what you're supposed to do on time, because there's nothing as bad as having credit and then you don't understand the responsibility of the credit and you mess it up. That's like a report card to the world. If I pull each and every one of your credit, I can tell a story about who you are. That might not be your story, but the credit history would tell me what, and the way I will interpret it will be how I see you. So that's your report card. So definitely I recap, your savings is very critical. Get into a savings pattern. Go and start an amount that you know that you can retrack from what you're already doing and start doing. It could be $10, it could be 1,000 naira, 500 naira. It doesn't matter. And then of course, credit is king. Even in Nigeria, when you're credit worthy, you're able to acquire collaterals and you're able to do things by leveraging others. So those will be my call to action. And I know that we will be so excited if you can get back to Help for Nigeria on your success stories, on what you have done and what you have not done, or if you have further questions, so we can answer your questions through Help for Nigeria. So those are my charge for all of us. Once again, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm excited, looking forward to doing great and big things with Help for Nigeria and each and every one of you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Duyile. I mean, this has been so wonderful. Even some of us that have some financial background, still I took a lot of notes here, and I'm actually doing my best to copy the your 3-point charge to us. Thank you so much for all the work you've done with us with Health for Nigeria. For those who don't know, we meet with the advisory board at least once a month, and each time we meet for about 2 hours and we brainstorm. That's all we do. And the advisory board has really done a fantastic job of connecting us with other like-minded organizations or individuals who have really supported our work. So this is going above and beyond. Thanks for everything, Dr. Duyile. And anyone who has further questions for Dr. Duyile, please feel free to reach out to either myself, Mr. Osho, or Mr. Olumide Obe. Will make sure she gets the information. She has also said she'll make herself available if we want to do a part 2 of this. So if you're interested in that, let us know. We'll definitely make it happen. Thanks also to Dr. Lupeju for taking the time to be here. Thank you to the HFN staff who are also here. Originally, we started this lecture series for the HFN staff, and we realized that it was an opportunity to open it up to everyone because we can all benefit from these fantastic talks. Charity begins at home. The Akintade family, we travel in packs, so I mean, whoever has ever seen any of us anywhere, we're never alone. Thank you very much for being here. My FGC Doani family, that's another family that travels in huge packs, so they've also been very, very supportive to not just the vision, but also the work for Health for Nigeria, and also for everyone else who have heeded this call, who has been here, who have asked questions, made recommendations, or have followed up with us. Thank you very much for your support. We'll continue to do our best to improve the health care sector for Nigeria. Our next lecture series, which will be hosted next month, will have to do with data and the importance of data collection. I know we don't think about it, but unfortunately, that's one of the reasons why we can't mount a response to many things in Nigeria, to treat COVID, to even, address poverty, because we don't have data, we don't collect data. In the US, if you buy dishwashing liquid, you'll get an email asking how your experience was. If you go anywhere, or if you speak on the phone with a customer service person, you get an email asking. That's how they collect data and how they can make changes. So hopefully we can actually enlighten as many people as possible about why it's important to collect data. So that's what we'll be doing next month. So thank you so much once again, everyone, for this wonderful opportunity. Dr. Duyile, thank you once again. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I just got a text from my campaign team. Can I do a plug about my run for office?
Yes, please. Yes, please, Dr. Duyile.
They just reminded me. So I am running as a state delegate in my district here in Maryland, District 23B. I ask that you all that are local support me with this drive. We have a vacant seat coming. I've been a resident of my community for 39 years. We have a very strong chance of definitely having a seat at the table in Annapolis, where we represent diverse thoughts and ideas and help the development of my county what it should be. So I look forward to your support financially, physically, and however else that you can get the word out. So thank you all very much. Thank you, Dr. Akintade, for letting me put that plug.
You would be one of the most intelligent delegates Maryland has ever had. We love you, we support you. So whatever it is we can do, we will. So thanks everyone. Are there any last comments or questions from anyone?
I think there's a lot of thanks going around. So Dr. Duyile, everybody's really grateful. A lot of thank you and wonderful session. And I strongly believe we might have a part 2 at some point. So please, if you're willing to come back, and I hope you enjoyed your reception here. But
thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And thank you, everyone.
And thank you, everyone.
Have a great week. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
I would close out with our slideshow.
With only 35,000 doctors. That is 1 doctor to 53,000 Nigerians. The healthcare allocation is 3.5% of the GDP, $5 per person per year. WHO recommends 5%. This explains why our healthcare system is the way it is. Patients are not being attended to. Government hospitals are overcrowded. Health workers are overwhelmed. Private specialists are unaffordable. Something has to be done. Nigeria, a nation with a population of over 200 million people, with only 35,000 doctors. That is 1 doctor to 53,000 Nigerians. The healthcare allocation is 3.5% of the GDP, $5 per person per year. WHO recommends 5%. This explains why our healthcare system is the way it is. Patients are not being attended to. Government hospitals are overcrowded. Health workers are overwhelmed. Private specialists are unaffordable. Something has to be done. To tackle these issues, Health for Nigeria believes the healthcare sector needs an inspired and well-motivated group of young leaders to canvass and act for excellence in the healthcare standards of Nigeria. Our team of healthcare professionals and leaders are committed to improving access to healthcare for all Nigerians, especially our children. With our nurses in all basic schools in Nigeria, we give children basic health education and support across Nigeria. Health for Nigeria, health equity for all Nigerians.
All right, so I'd like to just say thank you everybody for coming.
All right, thank you, Mr. Osho. Thank you, everyone. Do have a great day.